Can a company known for making excellent robot vacuums make a good robot lawnmower? My name is Jamie Andrews, and this is the A1 robotic mower from Dreame, which is their very first mower product to be released. I've reviewed several of Dreame's robot vacuums on my channel, and they are known to make all types of robots, from very affordable to class-leading flagship models. In this video, we will focus on the A1, review its features and specs, give you some pros and cons, and finally my conclusion. First, to date, there are a few types of mowers. Those that are inexpensive tend to require you to add a perimeter wire around your yard to keep the mower contained, and those that use GPS navigation, which are a bit easier to set up and give you more precise mowing, but cost a bit more and tend to have satellite signal issues that require extra patience and some troubleshooting. None of that is the case with the Dreame A1 that uses the same lidar based technology found on robot vacuums, known to be very precise. But before I get too ahead of myself, let's go ahead and dive in and take a closer look at the mower. Around front, you will notice the front design includes some carbon fiber, which help keeps the weight down to just 26 pounds. Up front, we have two charging contacts, and up top is the OmniSense lidar dome, which also helps with object avoidance and rain detection. Above that, we see the Dreame logo on the lid for the buttons. I like the very large stop button, which also serves to open that top lid. Under the lid, we have a large color LCD screen, and below that is a power, return, start, and home button, and in the center, a jog wheel to assist with controlling the on-screen display. You will need to use this when you first set up the A1 with the Dreame Home app, which requires a 2.4 GHz network. Around back, we have what looks to be an LED light strip or reflector. However, I think it's just there for looks. Flipping the A1 over, up front we have two medium-sized omnidirectional wheels. There's a single cutting disc with 3 hardened steel blades, which have quick-release hardware for ease of replacing. The mower deck adjusts electronically through the app to mow your grass at 2.7 inches all the way down to 1.2 inches tall. Looking at the dock, up top we have a single charging indicator light. Under that, Dreame mounted this fine hair brush to clean the lidar dome upon docking, and then 2 charging contacts. The 4 reflective white squares are designed to help the lidar guide the robot into place. Around back is a long power cord which attaches to the included charging brick. The dock is secured to the ground using the included stakes. Dreame sells a garage that mounts to the dock that I personally think is a good investment, although a bit expensive for what it is, and at the price of the A1, it really should just be included. Once you have secured and powered on the dock, all that is left to do is map your yard, and mapping is quite easy. Using a Bluetooth direct connection from your phone, drive the A1 around the perimeter of your yard, staying about 10 centimeters away from physical structures. You may split your yard up into different zones for a max of 5. If you overlap 2 zones, they will automatically merge into one large zone, so keep that in mind. For the mower to go from one zone to the next, you will need to create a path. To accomplish this, start the A1 in one zone and drive it to an adjacent zone. If you have some areas in your zones that you want to keep the A1 away from, like a small pond or flower bed, you can create no-go zones. All you do is drive the A1 around that area it should avoid, making a complete circle, and the A1 will dodge that area from here out. Once the mapping is complete, you can view the map in 2D or 3D. 3D is not extremely useful, however I find it shows just how far the lidar sensor can reach. Dreame claims the A1 is good for yards up to half an acre in size. Once you are ready to mow, you can select all edges, or zones in the app. Clicking on the settings button brings up a few options. You can choose standard mode or efficient mode. Here is an example of standard mode around 120 square meters per hour, and here is efficient mode where you can see it speeds things up quite a bit to 200 square meters per hour. Next is the mowing height of your yard. Obstacle avoidance, if turned on, will avoid objects based on the height settings here. More on object avoidance a bit later in the video. Next, you can custom set the mowing direction for zones. There's an auto change mowing direction setting which automatically changes the direction by 5 degrees each time it mows. I recommend turning on auto edge mowing and object avoidance on edges. Dreame gives you a custom mode that allows you to preset these settings per zone. Dreame allows you to create 2 different sets of schedules, one for spring and summer and another for fall and winter. It's pretty basic and has 2 schedules that you can set for each day of the week for all or some zones. You will need to set your custom zone settings if you want to use the scheduling feature. You do have the ability to manually move the A1 around your yard by clicking the remote icon in the app. Sadly, manual mowing is not yet supported. You can watch the mower do its thing in the app if the mower has a good Wi-Fi signal across your entire yard. Dreame gives you a Wi-Fi coverage map that's pretty neat, so you can see where you may need to add some additional access points. The map is saved on board and the robot can operate without a Wi-Fi signal. The A1 mows in a U-shaped pattern and that has a decent overlap. The cutting path is rather smallish at just 8.6 inches wide. The mower is driven only by the 2 back wheels that can move independently to steer the mower. On board is a smallish 5 amp hour battery that I found could get about just shy of 2 hours of mowing. At 15% battery, it will return to the dock for roughly an hour to charge to 90% before it returns to finish the job. I live in flat Florida, but the A1 can support slopes up to 24 degrees. I did test object avoidance with the A1. The A1 uses the lidar sensor alone to detect and avoid objects. Instead of going around them, it will just turn around and go back the other way. At first glance, you may notice sections of grass that appear to be missed on the other side of the object. However, when the A1 is done mowing, it returns to all missed areas to mow them. This is helpful if it avoids a moving object like a ball, dog, or human, since those objects likely won't be in the same place later. I once again put myself in harm's way and the A1 did avoid me. Next up is a 5-gallon bucket, and the A1 behaved the same exact way, successfully avoiding it. How about a kid's toy? Well, interestingly, I tried this all the way down to 5 centimeter height setting in the app, and over I had to hit the emergency stop button to save the toy, which was not great. It should be no surprise that it can't and won't detect a sprinkler or water hose. I wanted to test something smaller than the bucket but bigger than the toy, and thankfully it did detect and avoid this squirt bottle. The A1 won't avoid sticks or rocks, so my suggestion is to thoroughly pick up before sending it out to mow. As far as maintenance goes, with the A1 being IPX6 rated, you can hose it off with a water hose, and after a few mowings you will need to do the same under the mower deck. I would not use a heavy stream of water on the robot though. Alright, let's talk about some pros and cons, starting with the pros, with the first pro being the overall navigation. I'm convinced that using lidar for a small to medium sized yard is the best technology you can use with a robot mower, and that's thanks to using the A1. I mapped it really close to fences and my house, and it can get super close without touching anything thanks to the ability of the A1 to precisely measure distance. I've yet to see the A1 bump into any structure in my yard or any cars. Having lidar for navigation means you only need to plug the dock in and begin mapping. Nothing else is needed, which is very nice. The next pro is how well it mows in general. I was not really expecting much from a single disc with only 3 small blades, but it does a great job and did not require multiple passes to make the yard look uniform. I was impressed with the rain detection, which is performed from the lidar sensor. Being 2-wheel drive, I was expecting it to get stuck more often in my soft sandy yard, but surprisingly it did not. I believe this is because the A1 is light for a mower, weighing in at only 26 pounds, and the next reason is how well it is programmed to get unstuck once it detects it is starting to get stuck. Other smaller pros are that it will go back to any areas that it missed when it is done mowing to try to mow them again. I like that in the job history you can see the exact path the mower takes and any areas that it missed. On the map, the A1 also marks objects that it avoided, so you can go out and resolve those before the next scheduled mowing. Finally, it does support recharge and resume, and it charges up pretty fast. Okay, now onto the cons, which I'm going to break up into 3 different sections for you. The first one being the cons with the robot itself, which are less likely to be resolved through firmware updates. The mower is low to the ground, and a common complaint I see is with holes and dips in your yard, which cause the nose of the robot to easily bottom out. This just means there could be a few areas missed if your yard is not completely flat. I have about 3 dips in my yard that cause the A1 to skip over it. The next con is with the mower deck. The spinning disc does not have a blade guard on the side, and it is really close to the deck. The result was several times I found small sticks wedged in between, causing the blade stalled error to pop up in the app. I did what I hope most people would do in this situation, which is first power off the robot before removing the stick. Not a huge deal, except for when you power the robot back on, it will lose its entire job's progress, which means you have to start all over. The last hardware con is, well, I feel that for proper object avoidance, you need a camera, just like on a robot vacuum. With object avoidance turned on, if you have any tall weeds in your yard like I do, it will avoid most of them as it mistakes them for obstacles even at its highest 20 centimeter setting in the app. And this was quite common to occur in my yard, and while they may be able to resolve this with a firmware update, a camera would be a better option. The next con section is with the app, which should be able to be resolved with future firmware updates. I know this is Dreame's first robot mower, but the app lacks a few fundamental features that should have been included. The first is with the zones. Nothing separates my back and front yard, yet if I create 2 separate zones and overlap them at one end, the app will automatically merge them into one zone without asking. I desire different schedules and settings for my front and backyard, hence needing 2 different zones. My only solution is to leave a gap between the zones, which leaves a section of unmowed grass, and not ideal. Next, there is no option for spot mowing, although it is listed as an option on the website. There's also no option for manual mowing, where you drive the mower around in the app with the blades engaged, although Dreame has stated this is in the works. Next is with editing zones. There is currently no way to shrink a zone boundary, so you're out of luck other than remapping the entire zone. My last con section is more of a list of suggested features that I'd like to see. The first is when you are manually controlling the A1 around, instead of 2 joysticks, you only have 1. I prefer one for forward and backwards movement and another for left and right, as it makes it easier to control when mapping. During a mowing, you get a percentage complete along with how many square feet or square meters, but no time elapsed or estimated time remaining. You can see how long the task took in the log, but that also includes the charging time if it had to return to recharge at the dock. To conclude, the Dreame A1 actually surprised me in a good way, as in the end it exceeded my initial expectations from a 2-wheel drive robot with 3 blades and a small cutting disc. I wasn't really expecting it to be as good as it was with mowing my yard. While it has a few shortcomings, I feel the excellent and precise navigation and easy setup make up for most of them. I attribute the good things with it coming from a company known to produce great robot vacuums that have perfected the art of navigation. The bad things are just growing pains as they learn their way. There are several other options on the market, but if your yard is less than a half an acre, you should really consider purchasing the Dreame A1 robotic mower. It might just be the one I continue to use in my yard going forward. I'll be sure to provide an update in the future when they make improvements to the app, so if you've not already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Links to purchase are in the description below, and I want to thank you for watching this video. Alright, take it easy everyone. Bye bye.